This is a technique. And I will tell you that I had a plan. I was going to do techniques. I was going to use this stamp set because it's on the retiring list. And after I got my cards put together, I went and looked, and it's actually gone. It's retired. So, it's a great set. And that's all right. What I'm going to do can be done with another set that I'm going to show. And so I'm just using some basic white cardstock. And because I can't seem to get enough of these brushes and ink, you'll be happy that I changed up my colors today. I'm actually going with Melon Mambo, Flirty Flamingo, and Pumpkin Pie. And how I picked those colors is I looked up to my left, which my inks are, and they were all three in a row together. And I thought, oh, okay, we'll use those. I'm going to use my craft mat to put ink to paper for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's kind of got, it doesn't move. So my cardstock, when I put my cardstock down there, it's not taped down, but it doesn't move very much. The other thing is that I can put ink on here. I like to get ink on my brush and then ink it onto the mat and then pull it onto my card so I don't get any big blotches. And this is washable. The only thing you have to worry about is this little logo right here. It says Stampin' Up. And if you brush your cardstock over that, I think that you would get something that said Stampin' Up on your card, which would be kind of cool. But anyway, so I got some Melon Mambo ink, tap it off onto my mat, and then I'm going to brush it on. And the nice thing is that I can pick up that ink off the mat, so I can still use it. I'm not wasting it. But I usually start when I do some brushing is off my cardstock on whatever side, it doesn't matter, and bring it towards the middle or up towards the... And really, it's all about how much ink do you want on your cardstock. Obviously, I want a lot. I'm going to flip this around. And the reason that I do that is because I'm going to come in with Pumpkin Pie. And I truly don't want my Pumpkin Pie to get into that Melon Mambo that's on this craft mat. Because, oh, wait, I need to do this. It'll just change it up. Not that it would matter. I think it'd probably be fine, but... So I'm, again, Pumpkin Pie. And really, it's all about the pressure. It's all about how much pressure you put on your brush, onto your cardstock, how much ink you have. And you just do it until you're happy with the color that you got. And it's better to put light layers on than dark layers. You can always add more. All right. So there's the Pumpkin Pie. And then I'm coming in with Flirty Flamingo. I'm getting ink all over my hands. This time I'm going to flip this over. Again, I don't want orange. I don't want Pumpkin Pie in my Flirty Flamingo. So I'm going to tap it off and then brush this in. It's a really light color. I probably need to, oh no, there we go. Probably need to re-ink my ink pads because I've been doing a lot of using the brushes with a lot of them lately. And it's just time. It's always time. Your ink pads are better off if they have ink in them. All right, so there's that. It's very pretty. It truly looks prettier than in person, I think, than on the screen. Then I'm going to take water. So I'm just using a little spray bottle that I had in my stamp room. And I'm dropping, you can drop as much or as little as you want. You'll see this start to... What happens is the water hits that ink and it makes it spread out. We're going to do a lot. I really like this technique. You see that? Oh yeah, you guys can see it. And then I'm going to take a piece of paper towel. This is just sopping up the water that was left on there, and then you get these great water spots. So this would look cool with any colors of stamps, anything you have. While I'm here, I'm going to wipe this off. And I know I told you that I just use like these chamois that I get at the auto parts store. That's what happens when you own the auto parts store. Then you start taking stuff home from there to stamp with. Anybody has any questions, let me know. I think we're still, oh yeah, we're still good. All right, so the only thing you want to do with this piece is you want to make sure that before you do anything else to it, as far as stamping goes, that it's dry. And so all these spots where I put water are wet. So I took this piece, I actually cut it down, and I stamped it with the stamp set that I was going to use, the Biggest Wish. And I just used Memento ink. So I haven't really done anything with this except that I do want to do some stuff to it. And I wanted to mount it with white behind it and black behind it. I think that's going to look good. I'm going to put this aside because I will make something with that later. So I'm going to come in and just layer that onto some basic white. And then show you a little trick with your ribbon. I'm going to tie a bow on this one. So when I tie a bow, and I'm just going to do it on this layer, I use 4 lengths of the card, the width of the card, depending on how I'm going. If I'm, going across or up and down, it's 4 lengths for a bow. 2, 3, 4. That's how I get out of measuring. Or if you just want to do a knot, which I'll probably do in the next card, it's just 3 lengths. And so this will give you enough to come around your card, tie a bow, I always forget, but so you can see I have just enough. Now I'm going to come in with my nice ribbon cutting scissors, which I don't let many people use. Stampin' Up had these a few years ago, and they're like the best. I only use them to cut ribbon. It was a running joke in my family for a long time. And then, that just adds something to that card. And then I'm going to come in, and when I put my cards together, I usually put adhesive on either side of the ribbon because I kind of want it to stay where I put it. Let's move this out of the way. So there you go. And I had something, I had these gems. So I found these gems too. Today, you can tell today I was in my stamp room cleaning stuff out. These are retiring too, but I liked the colors of them. They weren't gems, but they're clear. But I thought they'd be kind of fun because they'll pick up whatever color. They kind of look like bubbles of water. So like I said, I do things in odd numbers. So I'm going to do 5 on this one because what the heck, I might as well use them up. So there's the card completed. And you can see it's got a little bit of bling. But I just really like that background. And you could do this with any colors of ink. They'll all kind of blend in together. So that's kind of fun. All right. Now, move this out of the way. I'm bringing this back in. And I'm going to show you a different technique. Actually, I have this technique, and then I have another sponging technique that I think is kind of cool. This particular technique I learned from a demonstrator in the UK. And he did this the other night on his YouTube. So I'm taking this piece, and I'm actually going to cut it into strips, 1/2-inch strips. And I'm going to cut the whole piece. This was just a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. And I'm not convinced that those wet spots are dry yet, but it doesn't matter because you're going to get the idea. And then I actually put one together this afternoon, kind of that I'm just going to put and finish up to get, that I'm going to finish up. All right. Getting down to the end here. Put that there. All right, so those are my pieces that I need for this. Then I'm going to take, this is just another piece of basic white. I'm going to actually cut this one down now, and then I'm probably going to cut it down again, but I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/4 by 4, because that's usually about the size that I use on cards that I'm making. So for this technique, you're going to go ahead and run adhesive. I want to make sure there's some on the ends here. So I'm going to run that adhesive, and then I'm going to take my strips, and I'm going to put a strip right along the edge of the card there. And then the next one, I'm going to flip around. And so, butt them up together. And I'm going to go all the way across my card like that. I scooted that one out of the way because it's not a complete 1/2 inch. So, just keep going. Keep swimming. It's just kind of a, I mean, people think you really worked hard at this. The hardest part is making sure they get butted up against each other. And then this one. Once I've done that, I'm just going to, you could use a scissor, but I'm actually going to cut it with my cutter. And I am going through 2 layers of cardstock. So you want to give it a little bit of pressure. But you're just going to trim your edges. Let's see. I think I'll take it to 5. And I just balled up my, I don't know what happened there, but probably too much adhesive and too much cardstock. It's all right. You can just cut one and then come back in and cut it again. That will cut your edge off. So you've got your base for any kind of card that is, I just think that's so cool. All right. So what I did was, I'm going to bring it in because I want to show you how I did this. And I'm probably going to use the same. I'm going to use my stamp positioner because I'm going to use black ink, and I want in these bold stamps, and I want to make sure that they that I get a really good impression. So I think I'll put thanks down here, and I might just do thanks, and that's it. So I'm going to line that up, pick it up with my stamp positioner. I will tell you today, so when I use this, I make sure it stays up in the corner every time I stamp. I re-inked my Memento pad after I was stamping today, so this is probably pretty dark. Just going to stamp that down. Pull it off gently. Oh, it's pretty good. Now the reason that I'm going to do it twice only is because I'm actually stamping on those layers of cardstock, and so some of it you can see the line. As long as I line it up, back up in that corner, this will stamp exactly in the same spot. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'll get it up closer, but you can see I was able to stamp and not have white where the letters are stamped in the ridges of that cardstock. I don't like this top part here. So I'm just going to come in with this one I did earlier. Same thing, same technique. This one's all cut and ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and put something together with this, and I will put this one together later. So I'm going to add some adhesive. This one I'm going to layer onto black cardstock. I'm going to come in with my gingham ribbon 4 times. 1, 2, no, I'm going to do 3 because I want to do a knot. I'll show you a little tip on a knot. I'll put pictures of these 2 up on my website. I don't know if it'll happen tonight. No, it won't happen tonight, but it might happen. It'll happen over the weekend. I can guarantee that. That's about all I can guarantee. All right, so when I do a knot, I'm coming through with the hoop, and this is where I just hold one of the tails. So I'm holding that tail down, and I'm pulling this one. And what happens when I do that is this knot stays nice and flat. It doesn't twist. Sometimes if you pull both, you get a twisted knot. This will make it stay nice and flat. In with those ribbon scissors. Trim that off. See, I'm beginning to get a mess. Adhesive. Again, I'll put some adhesive so that the ribbon will stay in the area I want it. And I'm going to put this onto white cardstock. And I'll show you the difference. Just a different look. It's a cool technique. And then on the black, on the card that has the black, I'm actually going to put a piece of white inside of it. And then, hey, I got this extra piece. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to cut this down to 5 1/4. And then I'm going to take this. I think there's some other pieces. Oh yeah, there are. Here. I'm just going to put this right along the edge of this card on the inside. So that finished that card off. I like that on the inside because it pulls it all together. And then on this one, I could do the same thing. I do have some pieces here that I could take and add some adhesive. To the inside. And that finishes off that card. Anyway, I just thought this technique was really cool. I loved the sponge. I love the blending brushes with the water because it adds some cool texture. And then cutting it up into pieces, and you could cut them up into anything. You can cut them up into any size pieces. So I need a piece of cardstock. I'm going to use my mat because I'm going to do some blending. I'm going to lay that one on there because that card's piece of, this is just basic white that I'm using. And then I'm using a piece of copy paper. All right, so what I'm going to do with this is just a piece of copy paper, a scrap paper, and I'm going to tear it. We haven't done like this kind of stuff for a while. And on this one, I'm going to add it onto here. And this one is probably going to go on there. I don't really want them to match. Didn't want it to be matchy-matchy. All right, so once I've got that there, I actually am going to tape these papers down because I don't want them to move. Well, I don't. Does it matter? You know how I am. I would just say, oh, look at that. It's homemade. It's not always going to be perfect. But I had the blue tape here for a reason, so I'll use it. All right. Oops. I don't really want that to go into. See how I am? I'll pull that off. And then I'll tape this down. And then we'll pretend like that's exactly what I wanted to do. All right. So I'm coming in again with my blending brushes. I'm going to use the exact same colors because they're out and stuff is here. Coming in on the side again. On these pieces of copy paper, I do want to be a little bit careful because those torn edges are pretty flimsy. So there's that. And then we'll come in with pumpkin pie on the other side. All right. And then we'll come in with Fleur de Flamingo. What I'm doing with this is I really want to make sure I kind of blend the colors into each other. So you don't really see the line. It just kind of blends in. They all blend in together. Good enough. Close my ink pads before I dump water on them. I'm going to take off my tape. You can see. All right, so there is the part that I have used the blending brushes on. Then I'm going to come in with my stamp positioner. Again, put that up there. I'm going to take this one off. And I'm going to come in this time with Inked and Tiled. This is one of those stamp sets that when it first came out was one of my absolute favorites. I love it. We are going to use it tonight with this card. We're going to try and make a card that is fairly simple to do. Just make a thank you. It's not going to have a whole lot. I'm hoping that's straight. Pick this up. Oh, I don't need to have this in there. That's why. So when you're using your rubber stamps, I'm just going to straighten this one out a little bit. There's a grid on it, on this part, that you can actually see to help make it straight. So when you're using your rubber stamps, you don't need this piece in there because the rubber's thicker. And the reason, again, why I'm doing it in my stamp positioner is only because I want this to be bold black. And if I have to ink it up more than once, it's easy to line up. I'm going to stamp that down. See where I missed it right there? That's why I use a stamp positioner. There's actually ink on that. I just didn't press down on that side. So I'm going to come back in, do a little better job of pressing down. I didn't even notice the thank you. Was it straight? Awesome. Oh, Donna just said, make sure you like the live stream so it gets pushed out to more people. Thank you. Yeah, please do. I'm going to let this dry a second. I would appreciate that. I think that's all I'm going to do to it. And then I'm going to add it to a black card base. Because I happen to have, I don't know, I guess this week I'm into black card bases. I got little pieces of paper everywhere. I'm going to cut that. What did I forget? Did I forget anything tonight? I don't think I'm going to do much to this card, except maybe a little bling. So this one actually, this is the size of a card. I'm going to trim it down. It's a good thing I have this little table next to me here so I can... All right, so I'm just going to take 1/4 of an inch off this side. 1/4 of an inch off of this side. And add some adhesive. I should have made this a sympathy card because Desperately need one. Been a tough week here in Red Lodge. All right. I don't even think I need to add any ribbon. However, you never go wrong with adding a little bling, and I got it here, so. I'll just add 3. Anyway, there is your card. So there is just some sponging, or I keep saying sponging and it's not really. Actually blending brushes. It's a lot of blending techniques. So just 3 different techniques. One with water, one with copy paper, and one with water, and cut into 1/2-inch strips to make your cards. All right.